Hi guys, I'm Vishal and I'm here to talk about the most valued skills in the industry and what fits the context of the modern, fast evolving technology world. Before I jump onto the subject, I'd like to introduce myself. I've been working in the industry for over 7 years and I blog about my technological innovations, tips, and tricks in my blog at obi-oracledb.blogspot.com. Over 130,000 people have benefited from my blog. I wrote a book which got published in the later half of 2013, in which I talk about a host of technologies such as Oracle Apex, OBI, Oracle BI Publisher, Oracle Beeple, along with some free products such as Google Visualizations, Eclipse BERT, and many more. Oracle honored me with the ACE title for my contributions to the community. Alright, enough about me. Let's deep dive into the subject and understand what the industry is really craving for and what would be the most valued skill in the days and years to come. We can broadly classify information technology industry into two categories. The first one can be called as transactional systems. This category includes the live systems. For example, if you have a problem with your mobile data plan, you will give a call to the customer care and they'll pull out the info about some plan that you activated 3 minutes back. This info is live in nature and tracks the latest transactions, and hence the name transactional systems. Another example of transactional system can be buying of stocks. You want that info to be real time in order to make wise decisions, and hence this info can also be classified as transactional info. The second category of systems can be called as data warehousing or reporting systems. These are high-end analytical systems that involve data mining and they help top business leaders to make decisions. For example, a CEO of a billion-dollar multinational firm might not be bothered about any single transaction. He will be interested in getting a holistic picture. He will want to know which one of his products are doing good and which geographical region is performing poorly. To answer such queries, we need a data warehouse. So you see, while the systems are hugely different, the big question is, what is that one skill which will be of good use to us no matter which kind of system we plan to build a career on? The answer is SQL. Let me elaborate a little on that judgment. Both these kinds of systems are based on databases, which are storehouses of information. Databases products are provided by a variety of vendors, and some of the major players are Oracle, Teradata, Sybase, and SQL Server. Oracle's database product captures a vast majority of the market. However, no matter which vendor's database you work on, you will have to work with SQL. SQL or structured query language is common across databases. Again, no matter what kind of system you plan to build your career on, you will have to know SQL since both these kinds of systems have databases underneath them. Now let's talk a little about specifics. Let's say you are into data warehousing. You create a report for the CEO of a company that tells him how sales are performing across continents. Now your tester tells you that the sales info is not right. The quickest and the easiest way to find out is to look at the SQL generated by the tool and see whether it's using the right tables and the right groupings. Let's talk about a scenario in the transactional systems. Let's say you are working for a big bank and one of your customers says that his money did not get credited to the account. What would you do? You will use his customer ID and fire a query on the database and see what went wrong. Now you will not be able to do it without the knowledge of SQL. So is SQL just about fetching data from a database? Well, the answer is no, and this is where I want to talk a little about SOA. SOA or Service Oriented Architecture has been the biggest thing in the industry for the last few years and seen a rapid increase in the jobs of people who are developers. SOA works like a glue that integrates heterogeneous technologies together and saves a lot of costs which would have been involved in duplicating the features of technologies and movement of data. So SOA is able to achieve this because it works on XML SOAP, which is Simple Object Access Protocol, and XML SOAP response. Since XML is an acceptable standard for communication across technologies, we are able to bundle products together using SOA. Oracle has a set of XML query features that can help you parse the response of SOAP using SQL. So with SQL knowledge, you can pretty much get an output from any tool and not just the databases. All right, I know what you're saying at this point. You're saying that you understand SQL has a variety of uses, but you are into building high-end systems that perform in the blink of an eye. So while SQL might be used across industry, you want to get into that elite class of people who build high-end systems that stand out from the rest of the competition. I have news for you here. While building high-end ultra-fast systems depends much on the infrastructure, which is better processes, higher memory, and parallel processing. Without the knowledge of SQL, all of this can easily go in vain. A good SQL knowledge is essential in writing a query that performs well and does not have a huge memory footprint. Talking about memory, Oracle's in-memory database times 10 also uses SQL. So with memory becoming cheaper and the speed of response becoming critical by the day, most of the systems around the world are going to have a lot of their data in memory. And guess what? You'll need SQL to query that. Let's talk about a different scenario. Everybody is big on social networking these days. Social networking is primarily unstructured data. Data is stored in networks. Let me explain this to you with an example. Let's say you have a blog, a Facebook account, and your Facebook account has friends. I want you to imagine you, your blog, and your Facebook account as nodes. Now, your node is connected to the node of your Facebook account. Your node is also connected to the node of your blog, and your Facebook account node is then connected to the nodes of each one of your friends. So you see how the picture of a network emerges out of this example? Now, while there are tools like Oracle Indica that can help you in the mining of the unstructured data, this data then has to be transformed into relational tables for analytical queries to be executed on them. This is because you might not be interested in all of the data that exists on the network, and querying the entire network every time can be costly for even the costliest systems. So unstructured data has to finally burn down to a slimmer version of structured meaningful data, and you will need SQL to query that. Let me now talk about the latest big thing in the industry. Everybody is big on big data and Hadoop these days. Big data is essentially data that is so huge and complex that traditional data processing applications are inadequate for it. In today's world, every organization is investing heavily into big data management and needs a method to handle it. Oracle has a big data solution, and guess what? And I guess you guessed it right, you will need SQL for it. Big Data SQL helps you leverage your SQL expertise and enables you to use that to query Hadoop databases and relational databases with an SQL that works across databases. Hadoop data can be leveraged using the Smart Scan feature, which will only return the meaningful data, and it can then be used with traditional relational databases to make a query, return results, and answer business queries in no time. So we see that SQL, which has ruled the industry for decades, is now even more relevant in today's world of SOA, Hadoop, big data, social networking, and giant in-memory systems. So make sure you get a good hang of SQL the next time.